So we're working on a Cameo fifth wheel by Carriage, and we have a slide out that's not going in. It won't retract. Gonna get a look underneath to determine what kind of slide out we're dealing with. That is a style of rack and pinion. You can see the teeth here and the other rack down at the other end of the slide out. In between we have just a bracket that is bringing conduit out to the outside wall of the slide out, probably feeding switches or sockets. First step, I believe, is going to be manual override, bring it in, and then we'll work the problem further from there. So here's the panel for the slide out. This is the door side slide out, and we've already tested this for the slide out. We tried to bring it in by activating the motor. We did hear the motor come on, but there was no movement in the slide. While I'm here at the panel, I just want to explain to you how what's happening with this set of switches up here, because it's important. There's an electromagnetic brake on the end of the motor that drives the slide out in and out, and it's normally activated, which means that without electricity, the brake is engaged. So that will keep the slide out from moving. So when I press this switch, I send power to the brake and the motor. The brake disengages and the motor turns the slide out to bring it in or out. Now, under our circumstance where we want to do a manual override for the slide out, I only want to disengage the brake, but I don't want to turn the motor on or power up the motor. So that's what this switch is for. So I want to disengage the brake so that I can do the manual override. So to get to the guts of this, for the slide out, we're going to have to gain access to it by removing the tarp material. There is an access panel, but it is not enough space to operate in there. So all this has to come down to create some workable space. And I'm also going to have to let this tire down. Okay, so here's how you get the tire to go down. In that hole down there. This down, this wrench, and you can see that the tire is coming down. Okay, we're through the underbody cover, and this is the drive system. That's the gearbox there. So this is the motor side of the drive system, and here is the sprocket side. So here's what's necessary to do to manually bring the slide out in or to extend it out. That black shaft that you can see there, I'm going to put the crescent wrench on it. Okay, so there's the crescent wrench on the drive shaft for the slide out. The drive shaft goes from one side of the rack and pinion system. This is the drive side where the motor is. It goes all the way across to the idle side, and that's where the second arm of the rack is. Now, I don't have the motor disengaged right now. It's all hooked up electrically, but I would press the button like I showed you on the panel to disengage the brake. Grab this crescent wrench and pull down, which in my estimation is pulling toward the camper. And that brings the slide out in. Depending on the direction that you pull the wrench is going to control the direction of the slide. So this cover right here needs to come off. There's 4 screws. One's here, one's here. I've already got 3 of them pulled, but one's here and another is up here. Okay, so the cover is off and you have a big bronze gear. That's the drive gear for the slide out, and then this black gear is attached to the shaft of the motor. So we are turning the drive shaft with the crescent wrench, and I'm just viewing what's happening with the gears, and you can see that there's no contact. They're not meshing. And so and in fact the bronze gear is a harder metal than the black gear. So the bronze gear is actually worn down the black gear. It's a softer metal than the bronze. Make sure all 120 volt AC and 12 volt DC power is off before removing the motor. Don't forget to shut the battery off, the battery disconnect. Just a heads up, there is some danger with the electrical and mechanical systems on these RVs, so beware on that. So this is what we're really concerned about. And all these teeth look pretty good. There's no movement on this rod, so the bearings are still good. Here's the old motor that we took out. RBW. This is the old motor. Here's the new one. I got this motor from Leisure Coachworks out of Fontana, California. It has the same mounting pattern. And the shaft is stiff. Like there's no motion at all. This one here, there is some give on the bearing. Okay, so they didn't give me new mounting bolts, but you can see how nice these are threading in. That'll definitely turn that sprocket. Tightening up the bolts. Okay, so this yellow wire, solid yellow, has a yellow strap on it, and over here on the old motor, my red and black have the yellow. So, and this blue wire here, that solid black on the motor, goes with the green and yellow coming from the coach. So I have the yellow with the green tracer with the black and the brake wire coming into this type of connector right here. Just taped it off because they had Buchanan, I think they call them Buchanan connectors, sleeve connectors, but they don't sell many of them even at the electrical supply houses around here. So, and then here's my my yellow, solid yellow wire to the red with the black brake wire. Nice. Yep. Okay, that looks good to me. Want to go back out again?